Hi, scholars. As many of you have probably heard by now, the decision by the governor here in South Carolina has been made for our school buildings to remain closed effective through the remainder of the school year. So in many ways that is very disappointing, and in others it makes me very sad. Obviously, spending time with you in the educational environment is one of those things that I know as a teacher I enjoy. I know my wife enjoys it as a teacher. I know that most of the faculty I've worked with in my 24-year career enjoy it. So, excuse me, it's kind of having one of those things taken away that is a very bright light in your day, on your day-to-day life itself. So, but with that, understand there is a plan in place for us to finish this school year. More than likely, our work will be done no later than the 22nd of May. And then that last few weeks, right after Memorial Day, we will work on any makeup work that needs to be completed by those scholars who either didn't have an opportunity or delayed completing assignments. And I'll give you more information on that later. I kind of want to wrap up our safety week, our personal safety awareness week with just some reminders on personal safety. And really they're kind of come in 2-3-part clusters. The first one, I want you to understand the words know, anticipate, and formulate. Know means to know your environment, know the area, know the situation. So again, we talked about whether it be a work environment, a social environment, whatever it might be, to know the environment, to know the area, and to know the situation gives you cause to pause and think about or anticipate, which is the second one, what the safety issues may be. They may be personal safety issues. They may be safety issues for a vehicle. They may be safety issues for others that are accompanying you, whatever it might be. So in order to anticipate what the safety issues might be, you need to know and understand the environment, the area, and the situation. And then the last one, and I've talked about this during the course of the week, is to formulate a plan. The best thing for you to do in terms of going into a new situation, and again, whatever situation that might be, is to take a few moments to think about what may happen or what could be the pitfalls in any situation so that you have some type of personal awareness plan or safety plan in your head. I gave you the example at the beginning of the week that as a physical education teacher, every activity that we do, I have to take a few minutes before doing so or before planning and recognize what those safety concerns might be. So I'll give you one example. In our weight room, which is probably about 300 to 400 square feet, we have a very limited space capacity for scholars to train in our room. So safely, only a certain number can be in the room so that we indeed do stay safe. So with that, in terms of organizing how our strength and conditioning workout may go, or what the protocol and how it is executed each day, depends upon what apparatus, what equipment, what floor space we are going to be using in terms of the workout itself. So if we have something that is very ground-based, obviously a lot of floor space is needed. If we have something that involves upper body versus lower body, depending on press or pull, it may involve us using more space or less space. Or we may have something that, if it's not ground-based, is it based on a platform? Is it based on a bench? Is it based on a box or something to that effect? And the other part of that is, are we going to be moving? A lot of times when we begin our workouts, we have some type of dynamic movement sequence that gets us warmed up. And in recognizing that, we have to have as much space as can be in order for us to stay safe. So to kind of go through the process, I know and understand the environment of the weight room. I understand how many scholars that I have, and I understand what needs to be accomplished in order for the class to get the full strength or the full benefit of the training. Anticipating the safety issues goes into how I set up the room. how I group scholars together, who is grouped together, and where and which areas they work in, and which implements do they use or not use. And then the last one, formulating a plan. One thing for you to recognize that as a coach, as a teacher, as an athletic administrator, I am required to have certain things each year, one of those being first aid and CPR certifications, so that in the event that someone were to become injured or ill, that we could properly take care of them in order to get them to a place where they are safe, whether it be the hospital, home, or whatever the task or the case may be. So that's kind of how I go about that in terms of a class. And then the last three-part segment I want to talk to you about is what I talked about earlier in the week, and that is escape, evade, or fight. And understanding, and I said this the other day, we go through code red drills, as they used to be called, or active shooter drills in our schools. The unfortunate part is that in today's world, that may be a situation where we may be confronted with it, depending upon time of year, depending on the time of day, depending on what is happening within our environment. So we have to have obviously a plan in place to make sure that people stay safe. In doing that, I also brought up that maybe you are in a public place. Maybe it is a store, maybe it's a mall, maybe it is a park where there may be the same type of situation. In doing so, you want to remember that your first and really the one you should think about initially is escaping that environment, escaping that area, going to somewhere away from there that is going to keep you safe. If you look at areas, whether it be a building, a park, a mall, there are obviously entrances and exits, and you want to make sure, kind of like what they do on an airplane each time you fly, they always make you aware of where the exits are located in the event that something should happen. So that's kind of one of those things in terms of the escape mindset that you want to be aware of. The second one, evade or hide, that is something that, again, if those exits, those entrance areas, whatever they might be, are not able to be used, then you must find some cover or find an area where you can evade or hide. And as we do in code red drills, a lot of the times what we will do is move to an area in the classroom where there are no windows, and oftentimes what we will do is barricade doors or entrances so that an active shooter could not make their way into our classroom. And then the last one, and again, this is at the very last moment. This is not something that people should attempt to do first, and that is fight. A lot of times, and I'll give you this statistic, if you read research on folks that own their own handguns, many times what you will see is in the committing of a crime, even though they may be well versed in how to use the weapon, oftentimes what we find is people who own their own handgun, if they are a victim of crime, have their own handgun used against them. So you really have to understand that it's if you get in a situation that is life or death, don't try to be John Wayne, and understand that your initiance of fighting is the last resort. And the last part in that, I'll talk about this again from head to toe, vulnerable areas. The eyes, the nose, the mouth, the throat is one. The groin is obviously another area, or look at areas where there are articulations or joints that are very, very vulnerable, like your elbows, fingers, knees, toes, things like that, that when you look at trying to fight or incapacitate somebody you are fighting against, those are the areas you would want to target. The last one too, and this I go back to when I was an undergraduate earning my degree in criminology. The last one, we often tell victims of crime that in order for the police or law enforcement to do a good job in terms of finding the perpetrator, the best thing you can do is to make sure that your memory of that person, their face, their features, their body, how they carried themselves, how they spoke, what they were wearing, what was significant about it. Those types of things are the things that can really help law enforcement in the event that if you're a victim of crime, they can help to find that perpetrator and obviously put them in jail. So with that being said, as I said at the beginning, I'm very, very kind of sad about the opportunity to not get back together before the end of this school year. I know that quite a few of you I will probably see over the summer as we get back into our strength and conditioning realm. But I've really enjoyed our time together, and I'm going to enjoy this last, 4 to 5 weeks as we finish up our semester. Next week, I will give you on Monday what our topic's going to be for the week, but your assignment is attached with this video. As always, my best to your family, my best to those who you care most about, and my best to you, and that you stay safe and that you stay healthy, and that you are continuing to work to be the best version of you that you can be. So more on Monday. Hope you have a great weekend, and as always, be great.